Hey, thanks, Lynette. All right, talk a little bit about AI. When artificial intelligence started to really break about 1.5 years ago, of course it's been around for quite a while, but there was a huge leap in what it was capable of doing recently. A lot of what I started to hear were statements like this. Hey, wait a minute, like technology can never be human. What is uniquely human? What can't be replaced by technology? This was a big topic amongst the groups that I'm with. What qualities of humanity can never be expressed by technology? What's unique to us? And then another big topic was, hey, what good is this? It doesn't get the facts right. I asked it a question, it got the facts wrong. So what does it do? How is this even good for us? So when I hear a lot of things like that, by nature I want to explore the opposite. So I started to reframe this for myself, and instead of asking what's uniquely human and pointing out what it can't do, I started to get really curious about the opposite, and that is, how might AI be human? How might it be like a human? How might it amplify the best of our humanity rather than steal it from us? How might AI do what I do? So rather than coming from a defensive place, how can I be curious about how it can do what I do and maybe help me do it better? And this has made all the difference in the last 1.5 years for me. And what I hope to do today is share some of the things I've learned in this last year in service of unlocking your own creativity of using AI in whatever you're about, whatever you're invested in. So my goals for today, of course, are to explore our relationship with this notion of artificial intelligence, AI. What's it like as a concept? What's it like when we engage with it? I'd like to take some time to give us a chance to see how we can amplify our own best humanity using artificial intelligence. And then in real time, I'm going to do group experiments with AI on the screen and share with you how I use it in coaching. I use it in my own personal development. I use it in scaling relational intelligence. And yeah, I use it to make me better at what I do. And I'd like to share that with you today. My hope is that when you leave, you have some new ideas around how you might leverage this in a way that can be supportive for you. When it comes to artificial intelligence, in this room we have multiple perspectives, I'm sure, on our relationship to artificial intelligence. And likely each of us have more than one. So some common perspectives that I see all the time in the groups that I work with are the AI skeptic. So as I read this, just attune to your physical experience and see which one of these resonates with you. AI skeptic. I'm not bought into AI as a tool. I'm skeptical about AI in general. Meh, it's overhyped. They said it was going to be good 10 years ago. It still doesn't get the facts right. Or you might have very valid concerns about privacy, ethics, job loss, environmental impacts, security. All this stuff is completely welcome. As a matter of fact, we would be in big trouble if we didn't have skeptics to keep us balanced and calibrated. Or you might find yourself more curious in a stuck place. I'm interested in it, but I really have no idea how to engage with this. How can I start to work with it? I'm not exactly comfortable experimenting with things. I don't even know where to get started. Or you might find yourself as a more of an experimenter type. You're already starting to play with it. You're starting to use the tools. You're actively searching for content, starting to mix with it. Or you could be at the other end where you consider yourself an innovator. You're using it regularly. You're highly creative with it. You're looking for ways to use AI to support you in what you want to do. This whole range, and probably 10 others that I haven't mentioned here. So just as I start to share this, I'd like you to just notice where you're landing on this and welcome that. All perspectives welcome here. I don't advocate for one. think it's so crucial to include all of these. I wanted to set some context around artificial intelligence, AI, just as a reference point for us to start doing some experiments. Obviously, this can be a massively complex thing or really, really simplified. I'll try to come somewhere in the middle. I'm aware that each of us might have a different experience, a different aptitude. There might be AI experts or researchers here in the room. So as a way to set a common frame for how to think of it, this is the way I think of artificial intelligence. And I choose this frame because I find it productive and helpful. The first thing is, in a way, AI mimics human thinking. So just as the brain is a neural network of cells passing information through electricity to each other, AI is this massive computer network of little nodes that pass inputs and outputs, information to each other in a highly complex and connected way. And just like in the brain, there's pathways and certain clusters of connection that are created when we learn, that are reinforced when we keep doing it, that fade away when we're not. The same thing tends to develop in these neural networks in the technology world. So in a way, it's similar to the brain in that way. And as such, it's gotten to the point where it can seem like it's thinking like a human. And so when I relate to it, I think, okay, it mimics human thinking in a way, and that helps me to start to relate to it. Another thing is that it learns and predicts. So just like we learn as children and we start to create patterns, we bump into a wall, we don't go that direction again. We become conditioned in a way. AI can also learn and predict. And just this morning, before I came over, I was reading in the New York Times this article about Lee Sedol, the Go player. If you haven't heard this, there is a board game called Go, and it's commonly thought of the most complicated board game created so far. Many, many more times complex than chess. So it's a board of 19 by 19. It's a grid of 19 by 19 with little chips on each grid. And there's so many permutations. It's something like 10 with 100 zeros after it of possible combinations that there's more combinations than atoms in the universe. It's that complex. So a team from IBM created this thing called AlphaGo, and they wanted to see if they can train a computer to play this complex game. And it's always thought, no, it could never do something like that. Like chess, maybe, but not this. So what they did is they took I think it was like 30 million moves from the best players in the world and fed it into this learning algorithm. And then they had the machine play itself over and over and over and over again and start to teach itself what worked and what didn't work. And then they pitted the machine against the #1 Go player in the world, Lee Sedol, who was recognized as the best, throughout the world. And here's a picture of him playing in this tournament between the artificial intelligence. And what happened here shocked everyone in that I think it was maybe the 30th move in the game, the AI suggested a move, and everyone in the room immediately thought this was a failure. It seemed so obviously wrong. Like, no one would ever make this move. And so it was like, okay, there's a glitch in the system. It turns out that in just a few more moves, it won the game. So it had created a strategy that was not even recognized or accepted by humans, put it into play, and ended up winning. So what happens now is they use that tool to teach humans how to play Go better. So it learned, and it actually got more advanced from the human, and now we're using it to help us grow. So I can't tell by the room totally, but I sense I'm way more excited about this than most people in the room. I was saying that to some folks at a table that my wife often says, don't talk about AI. You'll quiet a room. You'll quiet the room. Don't talk. So I should have listened. Next one, AI can notice things we cannot. I'll show you how this works in a minute. It's trained on all the internet, so all the things. And because of this, it's pretty good at cold reading. And I think of it as a super smart helper. So again, the frame I'm using is how might this be helpful for us in the work we do? All right, let's bring it together. Now I want to go to some demos, and I'm going to show you some actual, we're going to work with an AI interface right now live, and we can take questions from the floor and put it into the AI and see how it works. I want to show you some use cases that I use at work for this. So to do that, I'm going to head over to a different screen. All right. So the use case that I use first is I do a lot of coaching at Asana, and I got really curious, and I said to the executive that I was coaching, I'm doing an AI experiment. Can I record our conversation and then run it through AI and see what it says? So I got consent, and the executive said, yeah. So I said, great. It was a manager. And then what I did is, and I'll do this now, I've got the text from the conversation. This happened on Zoom, so I just downloaded the Zoom transcript. We could do that with this meeting today. And I changed the name, of course, and got the consent of the person before I did do this demo. And what I did is simply started, and you may be familiar with using AI to summarize documents, but I wanted to go a little bit further. So I gave it a prompt and I said, hey, this is a transcript from a conversation. I'd like you to deeply think about this and infer the person's strengths and weaknesses from this transcript. And I had no idea what was going to come back, and I just hit go. And then it went away, and I thought about it. And then it came back with some things. So what it did is it looked below the summary and started expressing, in this case, the manager's strengths. These are things that it saw that the manager was solid at, and then also saw what the manager could develop more, opportunities for growth. So this was interesting for me because it wasn't just a summary, it was starting to do the work that I was doing, which was thinking about strengths and weaknesses. But then I got a little bit more curious, and then I wanted to ask it, what blind spots does this manager have? What are they not seeing about them? And I didn't know. So then, I'll do this live. I don't know what's going to come back, but let's see. Also, AI doesn't care about spelling. Thank goodness. So I'll just ask it, hey, what blind spots do you think the manager has? And then, bam, it came out with a list of these inferences around things it thinks the manager doesn't see about himself. He's avoiding tough conversations. And ultimately, he doesn't realize how much that's reducing the trust and harmony on the rest of the team. He's misjudging the emotional impact of these situations. He's equating work ethic with value. He's assuming self-sufficiency. Now, this is what I get paid to do, and then try to look wise. And hear it in a second. Do you see how long that took? And what I love most about this is it's not facts. It's perspective. It's insight. So what I did is I took this back to the coachee and I said, look what it came back with. I don't know if this really fits, but what do you think about these blind spots? And so instead of me coming at this person, it was like, let's mutually look at this together. And so it just became an insight engine. It became a way to develop the awareness we talked about earlier. And it was able to do that and see things that I couldn't see, and very likely this person couldn't see. And that was really powerful. And then I could go on and do other things like what's the highest leverage action that this manager can take to make a difference on their team? We can continue to engage with this. What I then did on the coaching example is I asked it to critique me. What are my blind spots as a coach? What am I missing as a coach?
Nice.
And so I got the results. I shed a little tear, did a 4x4 breathing because it was sobering what it saw about my own blind spots and where I lean in and what I avoid. Let's take another example here where I'm going to, let's see if I can get this going in this one. I'm going to upload the document which came out of last year's session. And just to give you a quick look at the document, it's a position paper from Leadership Forum community. It's built by many people contributed to this. It's a definition of conscious leadership. You may have seen this. It has highlights from what happened, different insights, resources, things we care about. So it's a complete summary of the whole thing in an expression of us as a group last year. So for this, I was experimenting with this last night. I also want to give a shout out to Brooke for turning me on to the right way to do this prompt here. And that is, I simply dropped in this. Let me make it a little bigger. So here was my prompt. Hey, you're a social psychologist who's an expert at spotting the frames individuals and groups are in, based on the work of Irving Goffman, who I didn't know about until yesterday, but I thought I would help out the AI to give it an idea where to look. Please take a look at the attached document, then infer a frame from which the group is viewing the world. All right, let's see how it goes. Okay, so I got the first results back, and to be honest, I was a little underwhelmed because what it's reporting is what we're explicitly saying is our frame. It's a conscious leadership for collective transformation, awareness and interconnectedness, intentionality and purpose, collective action for positive change. So this seems, like when I saw this, I was like, yeah, that's good. But whenever I say, yeah, that's good, I'm realizing I'm not digging deep enough. So I wanted to go a little bit deeper, and I shared something like, what implicit frame might be in the group that they are not aware of? Now, I don't know what it's going to say, but with all this stuff, it's the curiosity that we have, which is the key ingredient. So let's just take a look. And again, just notice that this is a perspective. Notice how you react to this perspective. It's another perspective. So I just typed what you saw me type. Privileged perspective, intellectual superiority, Western-centric worldview, savior complex, assumed universality, change from the top, idealistic disconnect. So just notice your body. How is it like to receive that? Yeah, this is how I felt when it gave me the coaching blind spots. It was like, oof. But that, when I feel some discomfort. And if I'm feeling discomfort, I know I'm on the right track because it's showing me something that I might be resisting. And now I still, in my leadership, get to choose. Do I take this on board or do I not? How much of this do I believe and how much do I not accept? However, it is another input that can see things that I often can't see. So I asked it,
Question.
yeah.
How much do we trust the judgment of the AI?
That's so good. Who asked that question? Anne, yeah. I love your question. The way I think of it is, how much do I trust the judgment of my coworker? How much do I trust the judgment of my boss? And to me, the process is no different. I'm getting a response, and then I can notice. It's giving me a perspective. If I view it as a perspective and not as the capital T truth, then I don't really need to trust it more than my normal process of trust.
If you're getting feedback from your boss or someone that you have context about that person that gives you an inkling of where it's coming from or whether you would trust it or not. If you're getting it from AI, it's kind of like this nebulous thing out there. You don't have any context for it.
Yes. I think my response to that is yes. I see, I'll get you in just a second. When I have a relationship over time with someone, I've developed context. And because of that experience over time, I have created or diminished trust in them. I've been working with AI for a year, and I have more trust in what I can take on board and what I don't than I did a year ago, because I have more context in communication with the different language models. So for me, I come back again and again to I don't have to have it be different. I still get to choose, and my trust comes from familiarity through interaction. And ultimately, each one of us gets to choose how much we trust it. If you don't trust it, then excellent, you know something. You don't trust it. I don't know if I'm getting a sense that might be a completely unsatisfactory response to you, Anne. I could try another one. Never trust it. Do not trust. Let's bring it to that side of the flip chart over there. Trust no one ever. And that might be true for some of us. All of that's good. Did you have a question? And I'll run the next one I'm going to run as we talk is what would be a more productive implicit frame? So here I'm going to ask it to create a frame for us. Go ahead.
I'm thinking to wait till you do this to ask my question.
Chris, I have a question.
Yep.
Kind of off the back of Anne's questions from like variability, right? As humans, we're very variable. So like one conversation isn't going to predict how we are as like in totality. So could you upload like 4 meetings cumulatively and say, based on these 4 experiences, like how are these parameters doing?
Yeah, so what the question I'm hearing is, instead of just one conversation, can I upload a bunch of many conversations and have it look for patterns across this? Yeah, and the answer is yes. I just gave it 1. And the amount that I can give it is expanding every day. So it used to be a little bit of information, and now it's this much information, it's going to be that much information. And I will keep it in its mind and start to look for patterns over a tremendous amount of information. Yeah. Let me check in with what it said here. The inclusive empowerment frame. So this is what is suggesting as an alternative frame, diverse wisdom recognition, collaborative learning, systemic awareness, accessibility focus, cultural humility, tech realism, inclusive project metrics, power awareness, adaptive resilience. I'm not saying these are right, it's giving me answers to consider. And so the last one I'll run on this is, please create a frame that combines the best of both. And we'll see if it can put it together and kind of leverage this polarity to get it more into the behaviors we want. And this comes back. Conscious collective empowerment. I did this last night, and I think the frame it gave it was adaptive conscious leadership. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting frame. So here it's suggesting a frame for us to use, and you can see how it kind of bridges the gap on all the things. Some tips that I use to boost my own creativity with AI, and I think that's really what it's been about for me. I make some assumptions. These assumptions are a frame that I use to help me get creative. AI is intelligent. AI can plan things, just like me. AI can communicate elegantly, oftentimes more elegantly than me. AI can notice things that I don't notice. And AI can help me do what I do better. And when I hold these, it seems to unlock new possibilities. So with that, I invite you to continue the creativity. Don't hesitate to grab me in between or message me if you're not remote. I'll make sure you know how to contact me. Really open to discussions, explorations. I don't know all the answers. I love learning together. Thanks, everyone.